WWE have removed a wrestler from the roster. We got the backstage reaction to Ace Steel's AEW release and another 5-star match for a top AEW star. Find out who very shortly. Kicking off with the news that WWE have removed Gable Steveson from the roster. It's noted here in the Observer, Steveson has officially been removed from the NXT roster. Dave goes on to say, I don't know what that means past that's happened, and there are no plans for him in NXT at the moment. It's been a weird old time in the WWE career of Gable Steveson. He was drafted to Raw. That didn't materialize. Nothing happened there. Then he ended up in NXT. He did the program with Baron Corbin. They had the match there, was rubbish, double count out, fans pooed all over it, way more into Baron Corbin, understandably, than Gable Steveson. And since then, that's basically been it, hasn't it?
Yeah, he's been flip-flopping as well on the old amateur wrestling side of things, because obviously, you know, he was the first in what would go on to be the WWE Next in Line deals, I guess, an accomplished amateur wrestler. But then it was, you know, I'm sort of hanging up my boots in that respect, and then no, I'm going to go back to the World Championships. Now he's pulled out of the World Championships, so it could mean that there's maybe potential plans, but then it felt weird to have him, you know, be touted so heavily by the company, only for him to come to Raw. Obviously, then it's kind of been knocked back to NXT, and it's just, yeah, it feels like this could be it.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
I mean, the company were so hot on him. You were you're totally right in saying that they were sort of presenting him as the next angle.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Initially, it looked like he was gonna, you know, he had heaps of charisma and all that sort of stuff. And then you've seen his work. And don't get me wrong, he's new to pro wrestling, he's new to sports entertainment, but I haven't seen much evidence of that charisma.
No, I mean, it could be that, you know, there's just a lot going on his plate, too much things to kind of, too many plates to be spinning, I guess, to be focused on one thing in particular, but with him pulling out the championships, well, this is it. So, you know, it could mean that there are potential plans there, or it could just mean that this is it on the back burner.
We have got an update on Ace Steel. Obviously, Ace Steel was released yesterday by AEW. He has gone out the door.
Surprise.
Well, this is the weird thing about this story, right? Is about the backstage atmosphere and the reaction to Ace Steel's release. Steel, the Observer again, Steel, who was hired back at the behest of Punk, including getting back pay dating back to the date of his first release, when he was released for buying a fella. Was released. The release surprised a lot of people, but everyone was aware his position could be in jeopardy with Punk gone. I think it's the least surprising news ever.
Yeah,
Who did that surprise?
You know, a lot of people last night when I was on stream were kind of like, "Oh God, do you think it's related to the Punk thing? Do you think there's going to be any potential legal fallout from it, with it being kind of a dismissal of that nature?" But I think it's one of those things where, you know, the company's not going to do it unless they're fully aware that they can do it, and I think that it's not surprising at all.
He should have never been brought back.
Yeah,
he bit someone in the workplace. I know it's wrestling. Hey, it ain't ballet, pal. He bit someone.
Shoot, it was a shoot bite, pal.
What's that about? Anyway, it'll be interesting to see what Ace Steel does next. To keep an eye out for podcast appearances. We got an update on Jade Cargill. Speculation mounted, obviously, following Cargill being off TV. She's teased on social media about the idea that she might not come back. She might be done. However, she's now done an interview with Women's Wrestling Talk where she praised AEW, praised Tony Khan, and it very much looks like she is remaining all elite. What did she say, Samuel?
She said, "I am always in contact with Tony Khan. He's a phenomenal boss. I can literally hit him up now and he'd probably hit back up in 3 minutes. This is a man who has 4 companies, a professional soccer team, Jacksonville Jaguars. He's busy, but he literally comes to every show. He's so passionate. He loves our company. There's no other place I'd want to be. He doesn't look at me as a number. He looks at me like a human being. He knows my journey and understands my purpose in the wrestling community and what I want to achieve, and I don't think you can beat that. You can't beat that you can't beat this in a very interesting sport." And I think Jade Cargill for me is just a fascinating figure in wrestling right now, because she doesn't need wrestling. at all. She's independently wealthy. She can kind of, she doesn't really need to rely on wrestling as her main source of income. And so she can sort of take her time away and she can come back when the time's right, I guess, for her. And when she's, wanting to actively be in ring. And I think that while a lot of people might look at that as kind of, having one foot in and one foot out, and I know a lot of people kind of frown on that in wrestling because it's like you've got to sort of do or die, you've got to be all in with it, no pun intended. It's one of those things where I quite like that she's able to just kind of stay back, and then when she's needed, she's able to come back into the fold.
I think the timing's right, isn't it? She dropped the title, so leaving for a bit hasn't harmed anything.
No, exactly.
It's gonna mean that she is revitalized when she does come back. It's a privileged position to be in, to be independently wealthy, and to she doesn't need it. But I always get the impression with Cargill that her passion is really there.
Oh yeah,
and she loves wrestling. She seemingly loves being in AEW. They've done her well as well, haven't they?
WWE were interested in her way back, I remember reading, and she was the one to kind of go, no, I think I'm going to go with AEW.
Right, so, she improved so much, but beyond that, just look at her. She's got star quality.
There's nobody like Jade Cargill.
You can't manufacture that. She's so unique. She's so awesome. I'm really looking forward to seeing her back on TV. I would be well up for her coming back and having a really decent babyface run.
Yeah, I think that would be sweet.
I think people will be really excited to see her back. Speaking of AEW, another 5-star match for Bryan Danielson.
What a match it was.
If you're interested in star ratings, there you go. I mean, it was an awesome match. It was so good.
It was essentially just violent in all the right ways. It kind of ticked every single box for me as a wrestling fan. There was blood before even the bell began. We had Ricky Steamboat on the outside. We had the invasion of Big Bill. It was all just kind of wild. It was unpredictable. We had the big final countdown entrance.
Spent some money there.
It was just, both competitors just back and forth and really giving it their all at a time for AEW when, everybody was kind of looking at that kind of Schadenfreude lens, just looking through, kind of being like, ready for Chicago to erupt on the company all night, but essentially they just came out, proved everybody wrong. Everybody was kind of there into it, and it just had that special quality as a match, right?
They pulled off an amazing pay-per-view. I love the pay-per-view, and I just think you've got to give so much respect to Daniel Bryan, who clearly came back early. He wasn't meant to be coming back until next month, and even that was touch and go. But he came back, and the match was smoke and mirrors. There were lots of things happening. It wasn't your usual Bryan Danielson match, but man, was it intense, and man, was it excellent.
Props to Starks as well for managing to, it's such a high pressure situation anyway, to then have a star who's not at 100% come back and go through it in a safe manner, as safe as you can be in such a violent situation.
Exactly, while it still looks brutal, that's a serious skill.
And
both men.
Both guys, it was just absolutely wild, but Starks, I think they really, really, really elevated him, that performance.
For sure, and I think they're super hot on Starks, understandably, because there's another person with huge star quality about them, and I think he's got an amazing future ahead of him. We're finishing off with some really touching news, some really beautiful news. We noted earlier that the great Carl Lee is scheduled to be at Superstar Spectacle. We don't quite know how to watch it yet.
No, we'll have to find a way.
There's a way. Send us your TikToks. Anyway,
we'll get a VPN. We'll get a TV subscription. We just need an address in India, and then we can sort it all out.
So Natalia has tweeted out, reunited with Carly today in India. It's happening, right? Any doubts, put them aside. Always love seeing him. And there's a nice little picture. I say little. There's a nice picture of the great Carly and Natalia. They had a real sort of special connection, didn't they? They seem to. I've seen loads of stuff. Like Natty's always posting bits whenever she gets the chance to be backstage with Carly or anything like that. She loves that bloke. He doesn't look that fussed.
I'm a big fan of Carly's cut off smart shirt.
Yeah, there's something special.
He's got like a dress shirt but its sleeves cut off. It's amazing. And I mean, come on, of course he's going to be there, right? He's India's biggest star in two senses of the word. There's got to be great Carly.
All right, what do you book and doing? Putting you on the spot here.
Winning the title, holding it upside down at the top of the ramp. Or somebody else wins it and he just comes in, takes it, holds it upside down at the top of the ramp.
So funny. He's class, isn't he? He's class. Anyway, no massive wrestling show. We've not got a WWE or a AEW pay-per-view this weekend. We've got loads and loads of great content going out.
We get to sleep.
We get to sleep, which is nice. But we've got a true story of coming out. We've got a vlog. We've got a couple of lists going up as well. So keep an eye on the channel. As always, thank you very, very much for joining us here. Anything you want to plug before we go?
Just tune in. Make sure you're watching all the content over the weekend. The vlog in particular is something that has been getting worked on sort of in and around a lot of hectic stuff that we've been working on anyway. So I do hope you all enjoy that. It's a great edit from Luke, and obviously when you see it, you'll get it.
Loads of fun. Take care of yourselves. See you in a bit.